Hello everyone, in this video I'd like to explain essentially exactly what this plant is doing in this picture. Now what you can't see is that over to the left would be the sun, and the plant is bending towards that sunlight. Now in lower school you always say that the plants need sunlight for photosynthesis, and that is true, but what we're going to do is look at the mechanism that allows the plant to be able to get that sunlight and actually cause this characteristic bending. Plants respond to many different stimuli, and the response is hormone controlled. So hormones within the plant cause it to respond to stimuli like the sun or to gravity, and the name we give to those responses is this: a tropism. So a tropism is a hormone controlled response to a stimulus such as light or gravity. Now we have hormones inside us like estrogen, testosterone, adrenaline, growth hormone, and all of those bring about changes in our body, and the hormones involved in the plants do the similar kind of changes. They cause growth and cause different responses. So we're going to talk exactly about what is causing that. Let's have a look at these three pictures and we'll explain first of all what these kind of words mean. The word photo, here at the top, photo means light. So phototropism is a response that the plant has to light. Geo means ground or gravity, so a geotropism is a response to gravity. And hydro means water, so it would be a response to water. So you've got phototropism, geotropism and hydrotropism. The words positive and negative can be used because positive means towards and negative is away. So the top of the plant, as seen in the previous picture, that this bit grows towards the sun. So we say that would be a positive phototropism. Equally, we know that roots grow downwards to try and collect water, for example. So the roots, if you look at this last picture, the roots growing down would be a positive geotropism, a positive response to gravity. Now this is where it could get a little bit confusing. A positive phototropism is almost like saying a negative geotropism. It's kind of like the reverse. So if you're positive to light, if you're going to the light, you're going away from the ground, away from gravity, which is down, so that would be a negative geo. So sometimes you can see that one is kind of like the reverse of another. And I want to explain exactly what is causing this bending or these responses. So if we shrink the screen a little, we can explain exactly what's causing this phenomenon. Now, in the tips of the shoots and roots in a plant, so we'll just draw a shoot here. In the tips of the shoots and roots, a hormone, plant hormone, is produced, and this hormone is called auxin. auxin. So auxin is a plant hormone that causes this growth and these responses to the light and to the ground. Now when the tip, so we're saying this is the shoot and this is where auxin is produced. So just write here the shoot, so this is the shoot. When auxin is produced in the shoot, having had that stimulus from the light, it accumulates on one side. So if we say the sun is here, what you find is that the auxin accumulates on the side in shade, and it goes all the way down in solution, down the stem of the plant on this side. Now growth is only where that auxin is. So where the red is on this picture, you get growth, and where we have the blue, we get no growth. Now if you imagine over time what would happen if you have growth just on the left hand side, where that side in shade, where it has that hormone, what you'd notice is something like this. You'd get a bending towards the sun, towards the right, because this side only is growing. And that's how that plant kind of responds to the light. So when the sun's out and the shoots get that stimulus, the auxin accumulates on the left-hand side, and the side in shade in this diagram causes that side to grow, and it causes it to bend towards that sunlight. Interestingly, auxin actually inhibits growth in the roots, and that helps to almost cause bending down and helps to bring about that geotropism. Okay, so now let's look at a very typical exam question on tropisms. So here's a setup. I've got a box, brown box, with a sort of tray inside, if you like. Plants growing at sites A, B, C. So we've got 3 plants, A, B and C. And you notice that B has these little caps on the top of the shoot. You notice C is bending, A seems a bit of stunted growth. And the question is, after 1 week, you see the above growth, can you explain the result? So, let's talk this through. What we have at C is what I've just described. This auxin appears to be accumulating on this side here, the side in shade, causing growth, and that's causing it to bend towards this light stimulus coming in from the side of the box here over on the right. So C is showing typical growth, that the shoots are receiving light and they're bending towards it because they're using that light. They're going to trap that light with the chlorophyll to use in photosynthesis. A, if you notice, there is no growth, and that's because the shoots have actually been cut off. So auxin hasn't been produced, so there is no growth from the plant. So that would describe what's going on at A. Now B, interestingly, is growing, but is growing straight up. And that's because auxin is produced in the tip of the shoot. And if you cover the tip of the shoot with these 3 little caps here, so with 1, 2, those 3 caps, it's not receiving that light stimulus. So the auxin that is produced doesn't know to accumulate on one side. So instead, the auxin simply accumulates on both sides, and it goes all down the plant. So that auxin receives no light stimulus, and as a result, it accumulates on both sides of the plant, and so the plant grows upwards because all the parts of the stem, both sides, are growing up equally. So the presence of the cap means that there's no light stimulus, auxin accumulates all over the plant, causing growth upwards, and not this characteristic bending we've seen to the right. So that's a little bit about tropisms. Tropisms are responses to stimuli brought about by hormones, namely the auxin. Auxins, just as a little aside, plant hormones generally have many other wide ranges of uses. You can produce seedless fruits with plant hormones. You can ripen fruit early, so in terms of if you're transporting, a good example is bananas. If you're transporting bananas en masse, when they reach the destination, you can spray them with plant hormones and ethene, which would actually ripen them all at the same time. You can use plant hormones to develop from cuttings root systems and develop more extensive roots. But also, which I find quite interesting, is you can kill weeds using plant hormones, because if sprayed with these auxins, you can actually increase the metabolism in weeds to the point where they almost can't survive. They're using up their nutrients too fast. So there are just a few extra uses of plant hormones commercially. Okay, hope all that helps.